Well, the weekend has come to a close, but however, we do not end things here. Now, for a while, I've been trying to tell everybody that I'm going to catch up with all of the Yoshi events that we might have missed, and the same thing with Pro Wrestling Noah with their recent round robin tournament, the N1 victory. So today we're going to focus on MARIGOLD with their latest tour, the Battle Heart. So we're going to try to complete it before we head to their big show on the 26th of October, which is of course Battle the Grand Destiny, but the tour they're doing currently is called Battle Heart. So we're going to focus on day 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's going to be fun to enjoy watching them. Some matches are preliminary for title matches, some for special matches. So I will tell which one is which. So we're going to go from A to Z on every last one of them. And then, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Lead It Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, I can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the yapping. It's time to get down to business. So as I said, it's all about MARIGOLD, and we're going to catch up with their latest tour, Battle Heart. So let's begin with day 1. Okay, MARIGOLD, Battle Heart. Day 1. This happened on September 20th in Shinkiba First Ring, which of course is based out of Tokyo. Now, our very first match, we have a three-way. We have Yuka Yamazaki versus Megaton versus Nao Ishikawa. Now, of course, people would presume that Nao Ishikawa would have been the obvious choice that this match was going to fall in her favor due to her experience. But of course, we rarely see Megaton pick up her wins. We know she has picked up maybe a win, like maybe 1 or 2, depending on how it goes for her. But of course, we have Yuka Yamazaki, who is in fact the latest rookie who just debuted. We have been seeing a little bit of promising with her, but I did not anticipate her picking up the win when she put Megaton in a chokehold, and just like that, it was completely over. She won by submission, and she walked away with the win. So that's how things went. Now, our next match, we have Arina Yamanaka versus Hummingbird. For those who are not familiar with Arina Yamanaka, she's originally with Best Body Japan Pro Wrestling, which is a promotion that mostly it's like more like bodybuilding, fitness, modeling, that sort of thing, and that's what Yamanaka is. I mean, she is part of that. And many of you may not know this. Mina Shirakawa was there as a freelancer in that promotion years ago. But yes, but of course, you would have assumed that in some factors that Hummingbird, since she is a homegrown in Marigold, would have picked up the win. But nope, it was in fact Arina Yamanaka with a very impressive suplex. I don't know what to describe, but it just made her day right there. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Mitsa Matsui versus Kizuna Tanaka. Of course, we know these two ladies, what they're capable of. I mean, ever since Misa Matsui joined Darkness Revolution, a new side of her has come out. She has been, how to say, evolving in her wrestling craft. Not only using tactics that Darkness Revolution would use, but try to be the strong wrestler that she was always meant to be. But of course, Kizuna Tanaka, we know her. She is a second generation wrestler like her parents. But however, even though her status as a generational wrestler did not play her, did any justice for her due to the fact that she ended up in a stretch muffler by Misa Matsui, and just like that, she had no choice but to tap, and it was completely over. Misa Matsui won by submission. Our next match, we have Darkness Revolution. Rhea Seto, Chiaki, and Nagisa Nozaki taking on Minami Yuki, Chika Goto, and Kyuki Omori. Now, of course, we know the kind of tactics we see in Darkness Revolution. I'm not comparing them as like what Hate does, but they're not that aggressive like Hate. They just like to, ensure that their opponents are softened up, taken care of, so they can get the chance to win. Unlike Hate, they would do whatever maximum damages they would do, just to show you guys the comparison. But however, that didn't do any good because, as many of you may not remember, Chika Goto and Kyuki Omori, they started out as a tag team together when Marigold started, known as Twin Towers. And one thing or another, their tag team cohesion finally kicked in. It was, of course, a choke slam by Chika Goto onto Red Seto, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Chika Goto, Kyuki Omori, and Minami Yuki picked up the win. But during the post-match, it appears that Chika Goto feels that that both her and Kyuki Omori should reunite and finish what they started. Because many of you may not know this, I kind of was hoping for them to become the first ever Twin Star Tag Team Champions, and I feel like maybe this is the right time for them to get back on that high horse and chase those titles like they should have been from the very beginning. But we'll see how things will roll up from there. Now, our next match, we have Mai Sakurai and Miku Ano. They take on Mirai and Utami Ayashida. Now, keep in mind, this match is a preliminary match for Miku Ano and Utami Ayashida. For those who haven't forgotten, it was Miku Ano who won the latest Round Robin tournament, the Dream Star Grand Prix, and she will be facing her for this belt, and I believe that's going to happen on the 26th of October. And that's exactly what's going to be. However, you would have assumed that someone was going to pick up a win in order to build the momentum for that. But however, that match didn't go into that fruition. It ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. And then, of course, we were hit with the biggest bombshell that no one expected. And I reported this before. Mirai, of course, during the post-match promo, she announced that she'll be departing from the promotion. However, she did mention that Mai Sakurai and her would like to team up one last time before she leaves. And of course, that match was resulting to the people who they lost the tag team belts to. And that is, of course, Darkness Revolution, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki. So, I'm pretty sure that match happened, but we haven't reviewed it yet. But we'll get to that. Now, our main event, we have Seri Yamaoka and Victoria Yuzuki teaming up. They take on Komomo Minami and Mayu Iwatani. Now, of course, many people would have assumed that Mayu would have picked up the win because, she's the icon, and that sets it up right there. No, we've been seeing the rise of Victoria Yuzuki for quite some time now, and of course, as you all know, she has a move that now she uses in play called the victory shooting, and she did that on Komomo, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, during the post-match promo, of course, Yuzuki had some things to say. Many of you may not know this. She issued a challenge for the United National Championship, and that's exactly what she's going to do. However, Mayu Iwatani had something in mind for herself. She was willing to put the High Speed Championship on the line against Sarah Yamaoka, but however, Yamaoka made it clear that she had other plans. And of course, this kind of puts like Mayu's like, oh man, I really wanted to challenge you, but it is what it is. So even though Mayu may not get that chance, but at least she tried. But so that's what happened on day one during Battle Heart in Shinkiba. Let's move on to day two. I believe we're gonna do. So we're continuing more with Battle Heart. So let's get to it. Okay, as we continue with more with Marigold Battle Heart, we're now in day two of this event, and it happened on the 21st of September in Messi Numazu, which is of course the city of Numazu. That's where they're at. We opened up with singles action. We have Yuka Yamazaki versus Nao Ishikawa. Now, I don't know if this is one of those matches where Nao Ishikawa won a right or wrong from the previous match where both of them were involved in a three-way with Megaton. Well, it didn't probably matter. I mean, of course, we have seen a bit of improvement from Yuka Yamazaki for quite some time. But, however, that improvement didn't do any justice for her due to the fact then now Ishikawa took her out when she applied an underhook facebuster or power driver, whatever it was. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Megaton versus Kizuna Tanaka. Now, obviously, we all know about Megaton. We know she may not be the best wrestler, but she is the fun wrestler we can get behind. Nothing similar like Waka, in case anybody asks, but she's different. Like, she's trying to fit into wherever she goes and try to pick up wins if it's possible for herself. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough against a second generation wrestler like Kizuna Tanaka when she put her in an armbar, and just like that, she just tapped out, completely over. Good night, Irene. Now, our next match, we have Hummingbird versus Kyuki Amari. Nothing too special about this match, no storyline or anything, but however, I think we're seeing a bit of the growth from both these ladies, especially from Kyuki Amari, because as you all know, many of you know that some of these girls were part of at-risk girls, and some people say they were not actually wrestlers because they're just wrestlers playing theater, that sort of thing. But however, Kyuki Amari was able to pick up the win when she applied a single leg crab hold, and just like that, Hummingbird tapped out, and that's all she wrote, folks. So that's how it ends. Next match, we have an interesting 8-woman tag team match. We have Rhea Seto, Chiaki, Misa Matsui, and Agiza Nozaki, all members of Darkness Revolution, teaming up to take on Seri Yamaoka, Victoria Yuzuki, Mirai, and Miku Anu. Now, some matches I would have presumed it would have been better off in this position, but no. But of course, when it comes to Darkness Revolution, as I mentioned before, nothing compare like hate with their maximum destruction to destroy their opponents, to soften them up. Well, they tried to do that tactic in their own way, but it backfired no matter what. But in the end, it was, of course, Yamaoka with her usual German suplex that she converted into a pinfall in her own way, was able to seal the deal when she pinned Rhea Seto. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. And of course, Mirai, as you all know, when I mentioned that she will be departing, she continues to do her promos. I'm sure she's trying to get fans to watch her final match that she'll be involved, and I think that's a very important thing to learn, because that's exactly they need to focus as well, because her time was running out, as we all knew already, but we're getting to that sooner or later. Now, our main event, we have a very interesting team up. We have Chanyota, Mai Sakurai, and of course, Mayu Iwatani. They take on Minami Yuki, Chika Goto, and Utami Ayashida. Now, nothing too special about this match, but what I do like is the fact that this is the first time, for many of you who know Mai Sakurai and Mayu Iwatani, that they both were in Stardom. They never actually teamed up or anything, but this is the first time something like that happened. But we do know that Chanyota and Mai Sakurai have teamed up before, like in Stardom and in Marigold, which is no secret for those who follow these two ladies. But I have to say, it was a very interesting tag team configuration. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's an interesting one because I've always been curious about certain things that you wouldn't expect. I mean, yeah, Mayu Iwatani does have a higher reputation than the others, but she's willing to work with anybody. But their opponents, of course, Minami Yuki, who is still getting her groove and her craft, perfected. Well, she's still on her learning curve. We have Chika Goto. Well, she is a really impressive wrestler. We all know that she can pick up some good wins, and of course, we cannot forget our current Marigold World Champion Utami Ishida. But however, it was in the end Chanyota who picked up the win when she applied the jackhammer on Minami Yuki, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, they did a little pose with the flex like that, all three of them. I thought it was great. I mean, yeah, you gotta give Chanyota her dues because she was the one who picked up the win, and of course, she had to, of course, close down the show and give a promo, and I have to say she did a pretty good job on that. So that's pretty much what happened on day 2 in Marigold. So let's move on and continue with Marigold with day 3. Alright, we continue with day 3 with Marigold Battle Heart, and this was on the 23rd of September. But however, it was not, of course, uploaded on the Wrestle Universe until the 25th, and this was at the 176 box in Osaka, Japan. Of course, if anybody knows that venue, yes. Ice Ribbon has done many of their events there too. Anyway, we opened up with Hummingbird taking on Kizuna Tanaka. Now, of course, we know Kizuna Tanaka is trying to build up momentum, of course, for her upcoming match with her childhood friend, and that is, of course, Shino. But, of course, nothing is special about this match whatsoever. But, like I said, I feel like this is a bit of a warm-up for her because she'll be facing someone that she knows completely too well growing up. Don't forget, both their moms, Shino and Kizuna, were in fact tag team partners. And this is going to be a very interesting match, but Kizuna Tanaka was able to pick up the win when she applied the Redream, her signature move. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, that's all she wrote, folks. Next up, we have Darkness Revolution, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki taking on Minami Yuki and Nao Ishikawa. Now, keep in mind, Darkness Revolution with their usual tactics, using unnecessary weapons, taking their opponents outside to soften them up. That's always been their game from the very beginning. But, however, unfortunately, it was Nagisa Nozaki that picked up the win when she applied the Lance Nora onto Nao Ishikawa, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Next up, we have Megaton teaming up with Chika Goto to take on Erina Yamanoka and Mirai. So, of course, obviously, that you would look at Mirai, who is a powerhouse in her own right, that she would put whatever ounce of strength and soul into her matches, she'll pick up the win. And that's exactly what she did when she pinned Mirai, when she pinned Megaton, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, just like any other match, we did see Mirai with her usual promo, getting the fans to watch her final match that will take place on the 13th of October, which we will get to at some point. Now, we got the other members of Darkness Revolution, Ria Seto and Mitsa Matsui. They take on Kyuki Omori and Mai Sakurai. So basically, of course, nothing too special about it, but of course, when it comes Darkness Revolution. They would do whatever it takes to win by using unnecessary tactics to do so. But however, uh, it didn't do anybody good because it was Mai Sakurai who picked up the win with an elbow drop, and just like that, adios Rhea Seto. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Flying Penguin taking on Mayu Iwatani. So this is a very interesting booking. I mean, Flying Penguin versus Mayu. I mean, I'm not saying Flying Penguin is a fun wrestler. I'm just saying I never imagined that she would face someone like Mayu. But she did. And you probably would have assumed, if you guys are big time Mayu Iwatani fans, that she would pick up the win. Yeah, I mean, the match was okay, not going to lie. Not the best. I mean, it was an okay match. I'm not going to say it's good or bad or perfect, but it was an okay match. But Mayu picked up the win when she applied a moonsault. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, Mayu had to put out a promo. I don't know what she said to Flying Penguin, but, you know, I'm sure she's just happy that she got to wrestle a penguin or something. I don't know, but that's just me talking. But we'll see. Now, our next match, we have which is our main event. We have Shino, Yamaoka, and Miku Ano. They take on Yuka Yamazaki, Victoria Yuzuki, and Utami Ashida. Now, this one is a preliminary match for those who remember. As you all know, Kizuna Tanaka. No. Oh yeah, we have Miku Ano versus Utami Ashida for the red belt coming up soon. So you probably wouldn't know that right away. And I thought it was a really interesting matchup because, of course, you would have assumed that somehow there was going to be one person picking up the momentum on this one. But in the end, it was in fact Miku Ano with an underhook power bomb onto Yuka Yamazaki, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, we went up to a post-match promo because, as I mentioned before, Miku Ano is the winner of the Dream Star Grand Prix, meaning that she will be challenging for the world title against Utami Ashida. Had some words to say to her, but of course, Shino, on the other hand, had some words to say to her opponent that she'll be facing at Grand Destiny, and that is, of course, her old friend, her childhood friend, Kizuna Tanaka. So we'll get to that in some point when we get to Grand Destiny. So that's how things went on, and of course, the winners had to close down the show, and just like that, it was completely over. Now we're done with day 3, so let's go on to our last and final review, and that is day 4. More with Marigold Battle Heart. Okay, final review. As we continue with more with Marigold, with Battle Heart, and we are now in day 4. And this happened on the 4th of October, but was not uploaded on the WrestleDream website until the 20th, on the 6th of October. And this happened at the Udo no Miya Banka. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, but anyway, we opened up with Hummingbird versus Now Ishikawa. Nothing too special about this match, no storylines, that sort of thing. But, however, of course, we have been seeing a bit improvement from Now Ishikawa and Hummingbird. But in the end, it was Now Ishikawa with her underhook pile driver or whatever it was that she used, and that kind of sealed the deal for her to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have Rhea Seto versus Megaton. Now, of course, it's no secret about these two. Rhea Seto is the latest member to join Darkness Revolution, and Megaton being an OG Darkness Revolution. Well, as you probably know, she was kicked out due to her constant losses that Darkness Revolution couldn't stand, and that's what allowed for Rhea Seto. And I'm sure Rhea Seto in her mind would assume, like, this is why you're a failure, Megaton. That's why they kicked you out. And I'm sure she sent that message loud and clear when she defeated her using an ankle lock. And of course, Megaton had no choice but the tap. Now, speaking of Darkness Revolution, we have Chiaki Mitsumatsui and Nagisa Nozaki. They take on Nagisa Tachibana, Minami Yuki, and Kizuna Tanaka. Now, nothing too special about this match whatsoever, in case anybody asks. But of course, like I said, when it comes to Darkness Revolution, they always use unnecessary tactics in order to pick up the win. And that's exactly what they were doing. But in the end, it was Mitsu Matsui that picked up the win for her team when she applied a double foot stomp onto, of course, onto Tachibana, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, we did see a post-match promo by none other than Mitsu Matsui, and I'm sure that many of you probably wondering why she would go out and do a promo. Well, you got to remember, she has grown a lot. She has embraced like the dark side, as people would say. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. Now, our next match, we have Komomo Minami teaming up with Sari Yamaoka to take on Yuka Yamazaki and Mirai. Now, what's interesting, this match ended in 30 seconds when Komomo pinned Yuka Yamazaki. However, during the post-match, of course, Mirai was not satisfied that this match had to end in 30 seconds, so she was demanding for a restart, which they did. And of course, you know, it was going to take a bit more longer, and they got up to 13 minutes and something seconds. But I did not anticipate how this match was going to end, because many of you would have assumed that this match would have ended with Mirai picking up the win, which was obviously, but nope, out of nowhere, it was Komomo Minami who picked up the win when she pinned Mirai. I did not anticipate that. And of course, Komomo Minami had to do a little post-match promo, you know, telling the fans that she actually did it, that she pinned Mirai. But however, of course, Mirai, as you know, is probably happy knowing too well that her work didn't go undone, knowing too perfectly well that MARIGOLD will be in perfect hands. And of course, for many of you that may not remember, Yuka Yamazaki, on the other hand, thanked Mirai for everything, because her debut opponent was in fact Mirai. But yes, that's how things ended right there. Now, our main event, we have Victoria Yuzuki, Miku Ano, and Mayu Iwatani. They take on Chika Goto, Mai Sakurai, and Utami Ayashida. Now, of course, this one is a preliminary match, in case anybody asks. As you all know, Victoria Yuzuki issued the challenge for the white belt against Mai Sakurai, and not to mention Miku Ano is the challenger for the world title against Utami Ayashida. But nothing between Chika Goto or Mayu Iwatani of late. But however, it was a pretty good match, because it puts out, okay, who does get the momentum from both sides? Will it be Victoria Yuzuki or Miku Ano, or will it be, of course, Utami Ayashida and Mai Sakurai? So either way, things would have gone however you want to portray it, would have imagined it, or kind of played out the scenario. But in the end, it was Miku Ano with the Styles Clash on the world champion Utami, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So just like that, Miku Ano picked up the win, and of course, I'm sure she took great pleasure knowing too perfectly well that this is how she wanted to end, and giving her a preview. This is the end of you becoming the world champion. And of course, Victoria Yuzuki had some things to say to Mai Sakurai, but we'll just have to wait until we get to Grand Destiny. So we're only not that far off as we are, because today is the 19th of October, so as you probably know. So we're done right now with MARIGOLD. I'm glad that we try to catch up with these events. We'll try to catch up with more as soon as possible until we get to Grand Destiny. But as of right now, let's move on with our last and final thing, and that is, of course, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Before I proceed, just so that you guys know, we do not have upcoming events to update you. So let's focus on some certain developments that, of course, was later revealed. Now, Fightful Select reported some interesting things that revealed that were part of WrestleDream. It was reported that Dean Malenko was listed as the coach for the match between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin in the I Quit match. So yes, so it seems that this is Dean Malenko's work right here. So, but it also said that he worked alongside with Chris Hero. For many of you who don't know him, Chris Hero is a longtime pro wrestler, and not to mention a current booker for West Coast Pro. So yeah, so I'm glad to hear that. But he wasn't the only one that was coaching in one of the matches involving WrestleDream. It also foretold that Colt Cabana was also coaching for the match between Brodito taking on Okada and Takeshita. So it's great to hear that certain people were involved coaching the matches for WrestleDream, and I think it's very great to hear. Now, speaking of AEW, many of you may have heard, may have not known this. We're going to be doing the Continental Classic soon, and someone decided to put their name on the hat, and that person is Bishop Kaun. So yes, some of you may be curious about why. I mean, why would Bishop Kaun put his name in the hat? Guys, he's not just a tag team specialist. He is also a singles wrestler too. You may not have seen him like that in AEW a lot. I mean, if you guys follow him in the independents, you know he's good what he does. So I would say that's what he wants, and this is what he put me in the Continental Classic, and I hope he does. I mean, think about the guys. You look at the Lucha Brothers like Penta and Rey Fenix. These two guys are not just tag team specialists. They know how to fight in singles competition. We are seeing that also in WWE as well. Sooner or later, they will team up and unite, but that's pretty much what we've been hearing. Now, our final development, many of you may have heard that there's been talk about the possibility of Shinsuke Nakamura maybe being the possible opponent for Hiroshi Tanahashi in Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th. Now, I know some people probably say, especially the WWE fan base, are like, there's no way it's going to happen. Guys, you got to remember, Shinsuke Nakamura started out in New Japan Pro Wrestling years ago before he went to WWE. And not to mention, there was a bit of a storyline between both Tanahashi and Nakamura for years, before he left. Like there was an unsettled rivalry between them. And that's exactly what happened. But this is what Dave Meltzer kind of told it about this. And this is what he reported. There's been a lot of talk about Tanahashi and Nakamura at the Tokyo Dome show. I would say it's not a done deal right now. Could it happen? Nakamura had his contract that he can do stuff in Japan. That was part of the deal. It's weird political thing because obviously New Japan and AEW work very closely together. Nakamura is a WWE guy, and they haven't had a WWE guy. Well, they had Carl Anderson when he was WWE guy when he dropped the never openweight championship, but that was a lot of very difficult negotiation that gave everyone headaches. My gut is that it could be dead. I could be dead wrong, but even though WWE and AEW are feuding, and a lot of WWE does to AEW constantly, I do think that Tony Khan people are going to say, "Oh, he's gonna really mad." I do know maybe he will, but I don't think so. I just think that it's Tanahashi's retirement. If Tanahashi wants to retire against Nakamura, that to put that off, and I think it would be okay. So yeah, I get that people would say Tony Khan would be upset, but you got to remember this is Tanahashi's retirement match. He has every right to decide. We already witnessed that with Sting. You saw how he went down. It was his decision how he was going to go down. And that's exactly what Tanahashi is. I'm sure Tanahashi will tell Tony, look, Tony, this is my retirement match. I want to go down on my own terms. And that's exactly what I think he would do. And I'm sure Tony Khan would definitely understand that. Understand that this is Tanahashi's last moment. If he wants to have one last match against Nakamura, that's his choice. But nothing is concrete yet. I'm sure it's going to put a lot of headaches on both sides between AEW and Tanahashi on this one. But I mean, on AEW and WWE on this one. But we'll see. I mean, it could happen, but we'll just have to see what's the verdict going to be. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. I haven't decided yet, so this is basically, let's just wing it and see what happens from there. So stay tuned for that. I may debate about continuing with more reviewing MARIGOLD with their latest Battle Heart events, but we'll just have to wait and see where that leads us, because I really need to catch up with everything. But as of right now, nothing is for certain just yet. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I'll end things here, and I will say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang!